Thanks to No Normal for sponsoring this video.
So I've recently come back from the NC500 and I thought it'd be a good opportunity. I've come to the forest to give my top 10 tips of everyone driving the NC500 from my point of view. So let's go find a park up and let's get going.
I'm Jamie. I've never been a 9 till 5 guy, and seeking out new experiences has always called to me. Whether it's micro or something a bit bigger, join me on my next adventure. This is my NC500. 10 top tips.
Well, so top 10 tips on driving the NC500 from my point of view. So I've made some notes on my phone. Number 1, you could start at John O'Groats. So going from Inverness all the way up to John O'Groats, how to explain it? Boring is the wrong word because you can do a few bits and bobs there. There's a few little things and stuff, but the road is boring. Not great views. If you know what I mean. It's not pretty, as pretty as the West Coast anyway. Like I said, there is a few waterfalls, there's a few things to do, and you can see on my NC500 that I did get up to a little bit, but it's one of those things that you could start at John O'Groats and then carry on, because the good stuff is after that, in my opinion. Okay, so number 2, take as long as you can, especially on the West Coast. So you'll see in my final part that I've done like a little wrap up on my NC500 on day 5, and I thought I rushed it. I really did. There's so much to do on the NC500 that take as long as you can. My trip was 5 days, but I reckon you could have done 7 or 8 days, and even that would have been pushing it. I met someone in Applecross that was on day 14. So yeah, get as much time off work as you can, make it as long as you can, because there's so much to see, especially on the West Coast. You could stop every 10 minutes. That's what I recommend. Take as long as you can. So, number 3, I've got wild camp. Maybe. It's better to use campsites and designated park-ups if you can. So, as with all YouTube videos, you do get some negative comments, and 99% of the comments I got were lovely, of course, but there was a couple, and I can imagine they were locals, that said, you're not allowed to wild camp in vans in Scotland. You're allowed to wild camp in tents, funny enough, but you're not allowed to camp in vans, basically. Which, everyone knows wild camping is illegal. So it's one of those things that you don't want to pee the locals off, but I mainly used a campsite. And I also used a couple of pullovers, layovers that the Forestry Commission, you've actually got to pay for. I think it was like one of them was £7, one of them was £10, and you're legally allowed to, wild camp. And there was one other time that I did actually just pull over, and it was free, and I didn't harm anyone. I left no trace, and it was all good. But again, I thought I'd put it out there that you want to, especially if you're in a camper van, be mindful of the locals, because of course we want them to carry on letting people use this road, the NC500. So be very, very mindful of the locals and keep them happy, basically. I think that's it's worth doing that. And if you do that, then everyone can use the NC500 without any hassle. So tip number 4, there's plenty of fuel stops. Most are self-service, but they're very easy. Yeah, as number 4 says, there's plenty of fuel stops. And I was a bit worried that there wasn't going to be enough fuel stops, but there was actually more than I was expecting. Yeah, so there's nothing to worry about regarding fuel. Yeah, these fuel stops, they're some of them are like, you know, fuel stops you get anywhere else, but some of them are literally, there's no one there. There's just 1 or 2 pumps, and it's one of those classic self-service. So you put your card in, you know, authorise it, and then fill up. But it was very, very good. In fact, I was quite impressed how good they were. Even though it was in the middle of nowhere, it was actually really good. So nothing to worry about with fuel if you're in a car, in a van or whatever like that. You know, Benny arguably is one of the worst sort of MPG. I think it does about 25 MPG, and it was less than that, I'm sure, going up all the hills and things. So yeah, there was no problems with fuel. And that takes me nicely into tip number 5. Fuel economy goes right out of the window. Like I said with Benny, does about 25 miles per gallon, which is good, but it's so hilly in places, starting and stopping, you know, all those sort of things. Whatever your fuel economy is, I don't know, take a quarter off at least, because yeah, it just doesn't. There's so many, like I said, there's so many hills, there's so many stops. You're starting, stopping, pulling over here, stopping there. It's not like motorway speeds or anything like that, which is good, I suppose, but it's one of those things that fuel economy, so it just goes out the window, completely out the window, and it's just something you've got to deal with.
I'd like to introduce you to No Normal Coffee, the outdoor coffee. No Normal Coffee is the coffee you can drink or eat, crafted from 100% fair trade Arabica beans and sweetened with Swiss beet sugar. It has a rich, indulgent flavour with hints of chocolate, nuts and caramel. You can even spread it on things like a piece of toast or a banana. Swiss made, you can get up to 20 cups of coffee from each tube. It has up to 12 months shelf life, no refrigeration, and most importantly, no waste while on the trail. Visit nonormal.com to find out more and to purchase your outdoor coffee.
To be honest, let's have another sip. Oh, it's lovely. To be honest, when I was putting that No Normal Coffee paste into water, I was a little bit sceptical actually, but it's really, really nice, and you know, no waste, you know, lasts perfect for outdoor adventures. That's definitely staying in my outdoor bag. So that brings me to tip number 6. Get the NC500 app. It was quite useful, and you'll see in one of my videos that I used it to call up a campsite, and it was really, really good. Yeah, no complaints really. It was free, downloaded to my phone. I could see the whole route. I could use different filters to see what campsites, fuel stops, visitor attractions, all those sort of things. So the NC500 app, I could really, really highly recommend. And I used it. You know, it was great. So, tip number 7, I think it is now. So, all about the Applecross Pass. So, yeah, the Applecross Pass, the Black in the Bar viewpoint, is definitely worth doing. Am I a bit lost? Let's go through here. yeah, it's definitely worth doing, but, and here's the big but, you need the right vehicle. Please do not attempt it with a caravan. God, that would be a nightmare. In fact, you wouldn't even be able to do it. Vans, I mean, a motorhome, no chance either. Yeah, especially a big motorhome. Benny was fine. Benny's 6 meters long and relatively thin, and had power, because the pass all the way to Applecross is it can be quite steep. It can be really sharp turns, so you need a vehicle, and this goes with cars as well, to be honest. You need a vehicle that has a bit of grunt to it. You need a vehicle that isn't too big. Yeah, but that's being said, if your vehicle is fine, you know, and Benny was fine, it's actually not too bad at all. It's definitely worth doing. I highly recommend doing it. You can't do it all year round. I think it's, you know, if it's too icy or it's too snowy up there, they shut it off. But, you know, if you're in the area, you've got the right vehicle, it's a right laugh. The viewpoint's beautiful, and all the way to Applecross. Applecross is a really lovely little village, so it's worth going. It's definitely worth going to see it. So I recommend doing the pass, but only in the right vehicle. Trying to cross this boggy path, and I will do it. I will do it. Here we go. Yes. Right, made it. Anyway, back to the list. Number 8, I think it is. Let me just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Yes. There's loads of places to stop and eat. Cafes, you know, I went to a bakery. I've put, you don't need much food in a camper van. And I had, in my van, camper van, I had it full of food. I always take too much, of course. But there's plenty of cafes. Like I said, I went to a bakery, loads of places to stop. Most of the places to stop have facilities or cafes and things. And even when I went out of season, a few were closed, of course, but wasn't too bad. And in the summer, you know, they'll all be open, of course. So don't panic about like food and stuff. I probably ate 10% of the food that was in my van. So don't pack. You don't need to worry about food. And like I said in the earlier point, it's good to keep the locals happy. It's good to buy local. It's good to use local shops and cafes. It keeps the NC500 locals, the route, happy and viable to keep going. So spend your money locally. Yeah, use the cafes and shops and things like that. They're great. Following along that point, actually, going out of season. I am a great believer in doing things out of season. I'm not a big fan of crowds. It's one of the reasons why I vlog in nature, because there's no one around. I hate vlogging in front of people. But, you know, I basically had the NC500 to myself, and the weather was cold, but it was nice. You know, there's nice days in the winter. So do think about going out of season, especially in Scotland as well. You know, in height of summer, there's a lot of midgies. There was not one midgie when I went. So don't go winter. I mean, you could go winter, but obviously it's probably snowing and really bad weather. But shoulder seasons, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I had a fantastic time. It was brilliant, and I would definitely highly recommend things going then. You know, a few things weren't open, but I didn't mind at all because I was in the camper van. But lots of things were open, and it was fine. I really enjoyed it. And if anything, I would recommend doing it out of season. Yeah, that's just my recommendation. So, number 10. Get to Skye if you can. You know, just before you finish, you could turn left and carry on to Inverness if you wanted to, or you know, just carry on in Scotland. But if you can, go to Skye. And I climbed up the Old Man of Storr, which was very beautiful, very highly recommended. But if you could extend the NC500, yeah, I definitely highly recommend going to Skye. In fact, I think Skye is almost like a different beast as well. Like, I mean, you could spend a week just in Skye. So depending on where you're coming from, you know, I live as far south as you can, so I really wanted to get to Skye while I was up there. But I was only there for, you know, a morning and climbed Old Man of Storr. But I really recommend heading to Skye, because just like the West Coast is beautiful, Skye is just as beautiful. And while you're there, head over the bridge to Skye, and it's worth it. It's just beautiful. So my last tip is, it's an extra tip. I've already done 10, this is plus 1. Do your own NC500. Just use the map as a guide. So that's my biggest top tip, is the NC500 is obviously a route around Scotland, a lap of northern Scotland. And use it as a guide, because you can pop here, pop there, and there's so many other places in and around the route that if you just stayed on the route, you'd miss quite a lot. So use the NC500 as a guide and do your own NC500, because I can imagine that every single person that does this trip has a different experience, whether it be the weather, whether it be the vehicle they're in, how they stay, how fast they go, where they stop. So just have your own experience and don't worry about coming off the path and back on again as well. So that's my biggest tip of the video, I think. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been about probably 5 or 6, maybe even 7 weeks since I came back, and it was a big trip for me. I done a lot of filming and I was a bit gaga afterwards. Various things going on in life, you know, work's busy, so sometimes it's hard for me to get out and do this sort of thing sometimes, but I've hoped you enjoyed this. There's more adventures coming soon, lots more hiking videos, hopefully some van videos. Yeah, so like and subscribe if you want to, of course, but it really does help the channel. I really appreciate the people that support the channel via either buy me a coffee or membership, or you know, all those sort of things. I really do appreciate you, and it helps the channel grow, and it makes me want to do more videos as well. Okay, see you in the next adventure.